So let's talk about the deal whisperer. So this old queen got her ass locked up because you out here run like trying to get clout, trying to get fame and fortune and success and all these other things because you made your career off of being transphobic. And then you had to one up, and because you had a couple of black women that loved that you were feeding into the transphobia with your self-hatred, being a self-hating rhymes with maggot, and that you was feeding into that, and you realize you can get fame and clout off of that. And I told y'all, fame is one hell of a drug. It's way more expensive and way more powerful than actual money and actual drugs. So people get caught up in the matrix of the fame and everything. And when that fame is starting to fleet a little bit, when it's starting to wane, you got to find ways to keep having that drug get injected in your body. So you got to take it the extra mile. And the extra mile that this old tired ass faggot did was he decided to run up out here and start stalking people and showing up on their property and all that other stuff. Hold on, because I do have the gay magazine situation, and I'm gonna pull that up while I go through this damn article. So this old tired ass queen with all that, look at all that grease she got on her lips. So law enforcement officials in Gilmer County have arrested Naquan Tydree Malik Palmer, a social media personality known online as DL Whisperer. According to records from the Gilmer County Sheriff's Office, Palmer was taken into custody at approximately 10:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a warrant for felony aggravated stalking. While the specific incident leading to the arrest has not been fully detailed by investigators, the arrest follows months of public tension between Palmer and media figure T.S. Madison. Now, the criminal charge comes shortly after T.S. Madison successfully petitioned a Gilmer County judge for a temporary protective order against Palmer. Court documents associated with that order alleged a pattern of behavior that required judicial intervention. In Georgia, the leap from simple stalking to aggravated stalking usually occurs when a person is accused of violating a court mandate, such as a restraining order or bond condition. Saying, quote, aggravated stalking typically arises when someone is accused of engaging in stalking behavior in violation of a court order, which elevates the offense as a serious felony. So, I guess after that, he decided to go and go back on her property or whatever the case was. I'm like, are you dumb? Clearly he is. Because I think this was like after he reported on this whole situation regarding Dominique Morgan, where they said it was some type of felony criminal, like some money, whatever type of scheme she was doing. I'm not sure of the issue because off of the top of my head, but I know there's been some other gay bloggers like Jay Exclusive and a bunch of others who have reported on this. I got to watch that video to brush up on the tea, alleged tea. But I'm like, I don't know. I need TS to discuss this if there was a situation that went down. But I gotta get myself a little more abreast of the situation that was going on in this before I could speak on it. But for the most part, I don't know if maybe after she had gotten the restraining order, he was still going around, going to people properties and stalking. Because I do remember hearing the story that he showed up at one of her, because I believe she has two mansions, that he showed up at one of her properties that has been turned into like sort of would it be considered like a halfway house or something or other that helps underprivileged trans girls, I guess, to get themselves together, and then they go and once they get all their bearings, whatever, they go out in the world and fend for themselves, whatever the case. So it's kind of like I'm gonna call it an underground railroad for the trans girls. And Dominique Morgan was a part of, I guess, was helping Maddie out with that. And Daquan has been out here spewing a lot of his transphobic talking points or whatever the case is. And it's not like he was saying anything relatively inventive or new. You were just regurgitating old stupid talking points for attention. And the people that was jumping on this and agreeing and making him famous were just a bunch of women who hate women for being trans and are out here mad because the men that they want to sleep with or are sleeping with have a thing for either gay men or it might be bisexual or into trans women. And I don't think we should be trying to, and it's a whole complex situation regarding how to discuss the situation of how men who are heterosexual or straight presenting go after trans women or trans attracted. And it's like, especially if you're Black and a male, they're not allowed to explore those things because immediately y'all think about what's in between a trans person's legs via their pre or post op trans, and y'all be so focused on what they got between me down there instead of just thinking like, what is it about these men? Men are visual creatures. Men look at it as if you are on the outside and you present as giving fish and you can't be clocked, that attracts a man. Now, if you got a little something extra down there, they ain't gonna mind it because it's like, okay, well, you got what I got, and but you also got women parts. That's a little extra situation. Remember that episode of Pose when Christopher Maloney's character wanted Electra to stay the way she was with her peen because he was just like, I mean, if I wanted just a regular woman, whatever, I would go and get one. He liked the fact that you had the boobs and you had all the presentation of a woman, but you had a dick. Because it's like you getting the best of both worlds. I'm not saying all men is like that, but it's just like there's a thing about men where it's just like there's a little freak up in them. But also, if you having these little feelings or freakishness or whatever the case is, you can't just treat a trans woman as just some little object that you could just play with like it's a sex toy and then throw it away like they don't have feelings or they're human. So it's all different nuances and sides to that. And when you try to just diminish them as just some body or just some freak or whatever the case is, which this old tired ass queen will play into, throwing his own people under the bus for money, success, fame, and glamour, then what do you think? It's like he got to keep going to the point where you're gonna end up in jail, or bad enough, what if you ended up on somebody's property and it's some stand your ground type situation, and somebody come out with a shotgun and fill in the rest? If it got to that point, then what? Because you wanted fame and success and all this other stuff. And the unfortunate part about this is there will always be more DO whisperers that's going to come out with the foolishness. Somebody going to be as worse as this one. And now look at you. You're going to spend a year in jail because they want that fame and fortune. What is that going to do for you, sir? So yeah, because they talking about that he might go to jail for 10 years. And they said the case represents a significant shift in the ongoing legal battle. Authorities have noted that sentencing outcomes would ultimately depend on judicial discretion and the specific evidence might brought forward by prosecutors. So yeah, shout out to Baller Alert for this story. But before we go, because Gay Magazine went in and wrote the whole story. So shout out to them. That's how I first found out about it. And I was like, and look at God. And I did screenshot and tag TS on Twitter about it. But I know probably due to legal reasons, she can't really respond. But I did send it to her the second it came out. And so I did want to get into this video because my girl, yet again, Hope Giselle, who is an activist and a Black trans woman, spoke out about Miss Daquan. And I was like, I 10 toes down with everything that she said in regards of this situation. So hold on, because I gotta pull up the clip. And yeah, so now I'm gonna get the clip and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. Please hold.
Some of y'all hate gay men, but y'all love a punk. And that's exactly what the DL Whisper is, a punk. So let me say this real slow for the people in the back with selective hearing. This man did not get canceled. He got arrested, rightfully so, because there's a difference. He didn't get misunderstood. He stalked people, posted their addresses, pulled up to their houses, threatened their mothers for hours online like it was a full-time job with overtime. And that includes people like T.S. Madison, Dominique Morgan, and even a fellow gay man by the name of D. So miss me with the free him rhetoric, because free him from what? His own consequences? Because last I checked, when you terrorize communities, that's not activism, that's criminal behavior. And here's the gag. This whole thing was never about DL men to begin with. It was about permission. It was about the permission to hate trans women out loud, permission to weaponize trauma, permission to wrap bigotry in fake concern and call it protection. A gay man using DL discourse to attack trans women is not saving cisgender women. It's transmissia in 4K. It's misogyny with a Bluetooth, and it's violence with a ring light, whatever you want to call it. And all of you women that are cheering him on because it lets you dump your own transmissia under the guise of safety, baby, y'all are not being manipulated. And I want y'all to remember that. You are actively participating. Then comes the nastiest part to me. He threw up a GoFundMe and it worked. Y'all gave money to a stalker but silenced the victims. Money for threats but crumbs for the people who are actually living in fear. Money for hatred but none for housing or legal support or therapy or community care of the women that y'all actually care about or claim to. This tells me everything that I need to know about who society thinks deserves protection. So let's be crystal clear here. Bond was denied, and that's not oppression, that's accountability. Getting arrested is not persecution, it's a consequence for being horrible. And anybody still defending this man after the threats that he made, the stalking, the addresses, all the harassment campaigns, you're not neutral, you're complicit. And anybody screaming about innocence until proven guilty while trans women are actively being terrorized, yeah, you're not being fair, you're being a bigot with manners. So let's be real, right? Here's the real deal. There's always funding for harming trans people. There's always empathy for abusers. There's always grace for men who scare women. But when trans women ask for safety, crickets. That's a conspiracy, not some super secret gay agenda. It's the violence against trans women that is socially acceptable as long as you call it exposure. So laugh if you need to, read them if you must, but don't miss this lesson. Because when people show you who they are willing to protect, believe them. And until y'all do, I'll wait. Some of y'all hate gay.
All right, so I feel like I don't need to say anything. I don't need to add anything else. She said what she said, and I 1,000% agree. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding what Hope Giselle had to say, as well as this latest on the DL Whisperer? Because I did see this picture, which I did find funny. Hold on, let me see if I can find that over on Facebook, because I did post it and I thought it was hilarious that Maddie posted. But I don't know if it was relatable to. Mm-mm. Of course, I got somebody's putting dumb shit in my comments. But hold on, let me see if I can find it before we get up out of here. Okay, I found her. So T.S. Madison went and posted this photo on her page, and I did have a cackle. Hold on now. I'm like, do you think this had anything to do with it? When I saw this picture, I had a key cackle. If you don't know Game of Thrones, this is gonna go over your head. But it was definitely given that they put her face on, one of the characters was like, yeah, I want to let her know it was me in that whole situation. So maybe Maddie did get her ass locked up. But that's your own karma, bitch. So you made your bed, that line in Kenny. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.